Macbeth, a play written by William Shakespeare. Act 3, Scene 4, line 79 to 120. Macbeth, Lady Macbeth, Ross, Lennox, and lords are all gathered around the table, getting ready for an enjoyable banquet. The tone of the scene starts off content, nothing out of the ordinary happening until Shakespeare suddenly introduces a new unannounced character, the ghost of Banquo, which causes the tone of the scene to change from content to uncomfortable and spine-chilling. The pace of the dialogue seems to get faster, and Macbeth seems to get louder and more frightened till finally screaming, "I vaunt, and quit my sight, let the earth hide thee," towards the ghost of Banquo. The change in tone and the introduction to a new character affect the reader in a way to show them that Macbeth is starting to go insane with his power as new king, and is starting to lose self-conscience. In the beginning of the play, his self-conscience was telling him not to kill the king and not to blame the murder on Duncan's attendants. However, his self-conscience later begins to flee his body, and it is replaced with thirst for power, which causes him to go on a murdering spree to quench his thirst for power. The change of the tone helps the development of Macbeth. Along with that, introducing a new character, such as the ghosts only Macbeth can see, adds magical realism to the scene. The magical realism in the play is used to help speed up the story, helps change the tone faster as well. Macbeth's hallucinations of the ghost are starting to show the reader that Macbeth is beginning to go demented. Moving on, the setting in this scene is a banquet filled with food, which tends to represent a family gathering and a warm environment. However, it is used as a representation of losing oneself and can be taken as Macbeth's Last Supper, not in a physical state, but primarily in a mental state, as this is his last supper before he goes completely mad. Finally, a motif in this scene can be the ghost of Banquo vanishing in and vanishing out, which can represent his self-confidence, for he is constantly being told by Lady Macbeth if he is a quote-unquote man, which makes Macbeth doubtful in himself. In conclusion, this scene shows Macbeth beginning to having hallucinations due to pressure of being king. Along with the pressure of being king, he also gains thirst for more power, and this scene shows how unstable Macbeth is to gain more power, and while at the process of gaining power, he loses sanity and his morals. He loses so much that at this point in the scene he starts to hallucinate and show his guests that he is mad. This can go along with the theme of power blinds mankind from their morals and values. Regardless, Macbeth's thirst for anger towards the end. One may believe that if he wasn't placed under pressure in the beginning by his wife and the three witches, none of this would have happened, because before the murder, Macbeth seemed like a very timid man towards the fact of murdering the king and placing the blame on others, thus creating another theme for the play, which is man loses all sense under peer pressure. In this scene, Lady Macbeth still pressures Macbeth by not believing him that there is a ghost, questioning his manhood, and placing all the blame on him towards why the banquet didn't go so well. This will conclude my oral commentary for Macbeth.